One person is in custody and another is hospitalized following a stabbing in Fond du Lac County. It happened just before 8 Saturday night in the Harrison Place neighborhood in Fond du Lac. When officers arrived, they were advised that a resident was armed with the knife and may have stabbed someone. Officers entered into the apartment, located the suspect, and took him into custody. They then provided life-saving care to the victim, who was identified as a 51-year-old woman. The woman was taken to the hospital for critical injuries. The suspect, identified as a 24-year-old man, is reportedly the woman's son, and he was taken to the Fond du Lac County Jail. The incident remains under investigation.